Yes, guys, welcome to Chasing Green Arrows. I'm back after a shift off, and I'm back with regular co-host, Mr. Dean Jones. Dean, how are you, mate?
Yeah, good. Welcome back, mate. Welcome back. Never the same. Did we make fun of you last weekend? I think we did for some reason. What was it about?
I'm sure I heard something, a little dig somewhere. I did listen to a little section back.
Yeah, I did have a dig at you for something to do with. Did you lose?
Oh, was it Mahrez for Against the Obvious?
Mahrez, yes. You took him out
Last
your team,
week.
didn't? Oh, that was it. That was it. I wasn't sure if you'd taken him out your team or was it Against the Obvious. Yeah, that was it.
It was my Against the Obvious, and he went and smashed it against Villa, didn't he?
Did smash it, yeah. Okay, but you didn't take him out your team. That's good. But you did have a few points on your bench, didn't you, this week?
I did. And do you know what? Liv, who was on the show last Friday with us, Olivia Bazaglo, she had, her bench was even better than mine. I think I had like Andreas and Shaw, which was, 18 points for those two players. She had, I think, Tony, Andreas and Shaw. And it's like, whoa, that is a strong bench. So yeah, the curse of chasing green arrows for Liv there. She'll never be back on this show again, mate.
You might be right there.
Good to see you. Steve in the chat says, best channel for advice and interaction. Black Box can take a back seat. Steve, that's very kind of you. Thank you very much, mate.
Black put that on the poster. The Chasing Green Arrows poster. That's the quote. That is the quote.
Chatspot wants to know my game week points. I can tell you. I'm just looking at my team now from last week. I think I've got 85. 85 minus 4. My current overall rank's 193k.
193k, nice one, mate. That's good.
Yeah, in the top 200k, still with all those chips to hopefully gain some momentum, guys. And we're going to be talking chip strategy later in the show. We've also got Against the Obvious as always, and our team reveals. Good to see we've got FPL Popo watching from Swaziland. We've got Matthew there, Haley there, referee Rick, Michael, Bill. Have we ever had anyone watching from Swaziland before, Dean?
No, never heard that on this channel anyway. So we're getting around. CGA Army is growing.
Yes, yeah, we're gonna have to go. Yeah, CGA Army I quite like. I was thinking ultras, but I can't steal that from you guys.
We have that on our podcast, so it's probably weird if I did on another show. We'll call it the CGA Army or similar. Give us some names. What do you want to be called? You guys get to name it. Actually, you are the ultras or the army, whatever we're going to call you. Let us know what you're going to put on your flags behind the goal.
Yeah, there we go. Cameron says CGA go global. Love that. You've usually got quite a few poets in the chat. Where's Spartans tonight? I don't know if Spartans is around, but I'm sure he'll have some suggestions. Going to watch the Napoli game with no Prem game this evening, says Mark. Yeah, it's nice. There's no Friday night game. Next Friday there is a game. So the next week the deadline will be on a Friday night, and we'll likely be doing a deadline stream for that.
I'll be there. Nice, Fulham.
Deadline's 11. Say again.
I'll be there, won't I? I'll be Fulham.
Oh no way. Is it a Fulham game next Friday?
Fulham Wolves.
Oh, you will be there. Well, maybe there's a way of us going on really early.
Maybe there's a way of us doing this earlier in the day next Friday because I'm definitely planning on a couple of pints before that game. So we're going to do it before I start doing that.
It's a big game. Hey from South Africa says Chris. We can be the Green Army. Plymouth won't be happy though. Yeah, it's a fair point, guys. Keep those suggestions coming in. I was going to say we've got 4.3k subs. To 4k go and watch Plymouth every week. I'm guessing they do. I'm guessing they get sort of 8 or 9.
8 to 10,000.
Guys, keep those suggestions for our ultras style name in the chat all evening. But let's crack on with the show with Fresh Off the Press.
Yeah. So let's just go through some team news really for the weekend. I think a really big game is the Newcastle-Liverpool one. I'm really intrigued by this one. Liverpool obviously got the win against Everton, which I was a bit sceptical of whether they were going to be capable of pulling that off. They did. Fair play. I've got a feeling now Liverpool on the back of that might turn a corner finally, and it might be good for us lot ahead of the double game week that's to come. If they can produce a performance and a win here that give us a little more faith, this is a team that becomes really interesting. So Liverpool go to Newcastle, still without Luis Diaz, annoying. No Thiago, doesn't really matter to us lot. No Kenyatte, doesn't really matter to us lot. But Virgil van Dijk is fit to start, Jurgen Klopp has said today.
Straight back with a start. Is that
Looks like it. I mean,
Yeah.
that's what he's hinting at. I mean, look,
I guess for centre backs, it's a little bit easier.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, given how bad Liverpool's defending's been at time and how Matip's been playing at times, maybe it's a bit of a no-brainer. But yeah, he says so. Jota back in the squad now too. Firmino is as well. Again, Jota particularly. Want to potentially monitor ahead of that double game week. You imagine he would probably not get enough minutes to really be under consideration at this point. But yeah, Liverpool are very interesting to watch, and particularly so because even though Newcastle are the stingiest team in this league, like they don't concede goals, they don't give any away. They've conceded like 10 goals less than Man City this season. Ridiculous.
Yeah,
I think this is a good day to catch them. Not only have they had like a lot of injuries stacking up, says Almiron and St Maximum are available for this game. We'll wait and see. Callum Wilson, he says too, is in contention if he trained today. I don't know if he did or not. Bruno Guimaraes suspended. That Carabao Cup final is now in their heads. And that is one of the biggest games in Newcastle's history. And they'll feel they've got a chance to win it. Are they really going to take risks here? Is Eddie Howe really going to risk someone who's only 70% fit? Is a player who's only 70% fit going to want to risk missing that cup final? Are they really going to go blood and thunder in this game? Also, the two spots in Newcastle's team that I feel are fragile are just inside the fullbacks. Yeah. I think Liverpool might be able to exploit those spots. So
Dan Burn versus Mo Salah.
It's interesting, isn't it? Like we could really be served up a conundrum here over Mo Salah. I kind of do.
I called it last week.
You called it. You did, and I didn't see it coming. But look, I don't know what Jordan Pickford was doing in that moment when Salah suddenly seemed invisible to him. It's like,
what was that game like, mate? Were Liverpool good? I've seen the goals, but that's all I caught because I was away.
I mean, they were all right. They were
convincing.
They were. I don't know if I go as far as convincing, but they were better. There was something there. That's what I would say. There was something in that performance, and the way they've talked about it afterwards is really what's convinced me they might be about to do something. Salah seemed very buoyant. He said that players like James Milner and someone else are giving this big talk ahead of it, like, lads, what are we doing? We've got to enjoy ourselves. We're more than this, and really rallied the troops for that game.
Okay.
And yeah, they were never really going to lose it. So very interesting game. Right, let's whip through some other team news. Wilfried Zaha out for 2 more weeks, so don't be considering him.
Oh, they've got a double next week, Palace, so he won't be part of it.
Won't be part of it. No. Same shame. John Stones, sounds like a couple more weeks for him still. So, yeah, that might weigh on people's minds how they're considering Man City assets at the moment. For Arsenal, who have a very, very big game at the weekend, Thomas Partey still to be assessed. Now, look, if Partey's not there, I think that Arsenal's title challenge, look, it could be about to crumble. I said in our group chat, I didn't say it on here, which is a bit annoying because I don't have any evidence to this group. But I did say I feel like Arsenal's season might be about to fall apart. That was about 2 weeks ago. And it was potentially right. And I don't feel like this is a great game for them, to be honest. Early kickoff, Aston Villa away, Unai Emery in charge of Aston Villa. Villa can be all right at the moment under Emery. Arsenal rocked at the moment, absolutely rocked. Look, Jorginho, to be fair, did all right when he came in, but he's not Thomas Partey.
Yeah. He's a different style player. He's not like for like, which is why many Arsenal fans were perhaps surprised with the sign-in, because I think he's a good addition, but he doesn't play the game like Partey. He's not got that destructive physicality that Partey has.
No, and to be honest, I don't think we can really use that against him. I mean, Thomas Partey has created this role in the Arsenal team. He's been there all the time. He's been a big part of the reason Arsenal have been so good. So you can't really expect whoever they would have signed in Jan to have come in and done his job exactly as he does, because he's just nailed it. He's created it and he's nailed it. Emile Smith-Rowe could be in the squad. So another rotation factor to consider in the coming weeks, maybe. For Arsenal, Gabby Jesus still working his way back, so won't be in the frame here. So we're all
Good
safe
news,
with our Nketiah at the moment. Yeah.
Good news for Nketiah owners. We've got a fair few weeks of guaranteed starts, I'd say, knowing that Jesus still isn't back in full training.
Yeah, absolutely. Although I am going to talk about Nketiah right at the end of the show.
Like that. I
wonder what that's about.
Arsenal and Liverpool, they're both really interesting. We'll be giving our tips and chips in about 5 minutes' time. We'll be talking about some of those Liverpool players and who we think we should be going for. Obviously, double game week on the horizon, and we're going to be looking at the doubles and the blanks coming up. Any more for us, Dean?
No, that was the wrap, really.
What about Mitro? What do you think to Mitro? Because we've got a question in the chat. Is Mitrovic not the same ongoing issue, says Michael? Now, we've been saying he's not looked the same since that international break before the World Cup. Clearly, he's playing injured. I think he had a late... Did he get injured in the warm-up last week, but then was seen as, good to go,
The thing is, Fulham don't function the same when he's not there. I know we've managed to get away with it so far in the games when he hasn't.
Bloody Chelsea.
And Carlos Vinicius has stepped in, and we've got away with it because Carlos Vinicius just about has done enough in those games. He scored the winner as well. Obviously, a bit of a cult hero now, but even a 70% Mitro is so good for Fulham's approach play. So no, he's not the same goal threat. I would agree with that. I'm not even sure he takes the next penalty.
Ooh,
that's what's going to be interesting because he's missed a lot, and we've got other good penalty takers in this squad.
Andreas and Willian
are both in there, and given his record so far, look, he's obviously not going to want to give it up, but it will be interesting the next pen Fulham get to see whether Mitro takes it. Honestly, I'm not sure he will. Everyone's asking every week now, is Mitrovic the same issue? Yeah, the same issue. Yeah, but as I say, Fulham need him. And he's still so functional that he will keep playing, I think.
If I had him in FPL, though, and I know so many have, I think he's around 25, and I'm going to be talking about Mitro later in Against the Obvious. I think if I didn't own Nketiah, I'd be selling Mitro. I think that's a very easy swap, knowing Arsenal have a double next week.
Yeah.
And look, there's others out there that want to go for a punt on João Felix. There's some good attacking options there. I wonder if Mitro would be part of my plans.
I would, I wouldn't blame anyone for getting rid of him at this stage, put it that way. I think, from an all-round team perspective, Mitro is still very important. As a nailed-on goal asset, he's not quite the same player you were getting in the first half of the season.
Yeah. Andreas says, great channel. Love you guys. Thanks for that, Andreas. I'm hoping you've hit that like button if you love us so much. And look, obviously subscribe as well. I'm sure you've already done that. But please do hit the like and subscribe, guys. And Rad Miller giving us love as well. Guys, you're the best. I don't think I've ever seen so much love in the chat. Better than Black Box. You guys are
post-Valentine's vibes.
Maybe it is. I was away for Valentine's Day, so I probably
in the bad books.
I came back to a card as well. I came back to a card, and I didn't have a card.
Hope you had a great time.
You know what I did have though? I did have a really mashed up rose in my suitcase that I'd gone for dinner the night before. And everyone that went to this restaurant, this was in Qatar, got given everyone got given a rose. Every woman that walked in got given a rose, and I went, can I grab a rose? Because I'm going home in a few hours. I could put it in my suitcase and give it to my wife. So I actually was given a rose, and I did bring it all the way home. It didn't look the best. So when I came back to a card sat there on the table, and then obviously I didn't have a card, and all I had was a bit of a mangled rose that I got for free. It wasn't the best look. Probably would have been best just to go without anything.
Yeah. Maybe take her out for a nice coffee tomorrow morning.
I did suggest maybe a curry tomorrow night.
Lovely.
Yeah. We've got a great BYO. We've got our local curry house is a BYO, which is just an absolute hit. I couldn't believe my luck when our one and only curry house in the local town was bring your own. Maybe a few bevs. Thank you guys for all the like and the support. It's good to see so many familiar faces, but some new faces around here too. So don't forget, we do these streams on Mondays and Fridays at 7. We'll be back on Monday, and next week we'll probably be earlier than 7 because there's an FPL deadline, as mentioned earlier. We'll look at maybe doing a Friday afternoon show. Guys, we've got loads to discuss when it comes to chip strategy. I'm going to get Dean's take, but first, before we do that, I'm going to go through what I'm thinking I'm going to do. And I want your take in the chat as well. You can help steer where we think the best routes are. But I think there's some very obvious paths we could now be taking. So coming up next, we've got tips and chips. I feel like now is the time to be discussing chip strategy because
mate, I need some tips. I need some tips.
Well, there's some that we'll look at, say, that game week 25, and we're looking at Ben Crellin's planner here, and now think, okay, I'm going to free hit in 25, which is a fine shout. Now, if you're going to do that, you need to be committing to that now because you've got a couple of weeks worth of transfers. So, for example, you don't need to be beelining for your third Arsenal asset if you're going to free hit then, or your Tarkowskis. But this is what I'm planning on doing. And I can only it's completely subjective to the team you've got and the players you've got and the chips you may have already used. Now, I've used triple captain, but my plan for the next few weeks, well, game week 23 has been and gone, but game week 24 we can look at, which is actually a nice game week to have because this game week on the horizon is a plain game week. There are no doubles and no blanks. We'll see the same in 26. But then from then on, as you'll see, there's blanks and doubles and potential doubles galore. So the first week we need to navigate is game week 25. Now, loads of us have Newcastle and Man United players, those two teams blank, and a few of us will have your Matomas and your Tonys as well. So the blank game weeks are causing a little bit of a headache. If you can only get 10 men out this week, I think that's okay if it's a good 10 and some of them are doublers. So your Man United and your Newcastle assets, I'd be selling the likes of Botman and maybe Almiron and Callum Wilson, but your likes of Trippier, they're long-term holds. A bit like with Man United, you're going to keep Rashford long-term, but you might consider selling a Bruno or a Shaw because of the blank. Now, the double game week players to target in 25, for my team, I've already got 3 Arsenal. I'm going to be targeting Liverpool, right? Because they've not only got the double, which is a nice double, Palace and Wolves, but then they also play in, they could be playing in game week 28. And that's a big one there. Game week 28, they could be playing Leeds. And we'll know if they're playing Leeds in the build up to 26, but we won't know before 25. So when we buy Liverpool ahead of game week 25, we will not know if they're playing in 28, which is really frustrating and makes you perhaps not want to go double or triple Liverpool, or maybe not triple, but maybe double is a big enough risk. And that comes down to whether Fulham beat Leeds in the FA Cup. We need the result between Fulham and Leeds will give Liverpool that fixture. So if Fulham beat Leeds in the FA Cup, then it's going to be a blank game week. If Leeds win, then Liverpool will play Fulham in game week 28.
Oh, okay. We will.
How are Fulham taking the FA Cup this season, Dean?
Well, do you know what the issue here? There's a bit of a weird one here. So a lot of fans are boycotting that game. Right. So Fulham set the ticket prices at that game at £40, cheapest adult ticket you can get, and everyone's like, "What? A Tuesday night FA Cup game that's on TV?" And it's £40 a ticket. So everyone's like, no. And currently, like the main stand for the home fans behind the goal, the Hammersmith end, there's barely a ticket sold. The only people buying tickets at the moment is to get in the new stand, like the Riverside stand that's just been done up. That one is normally £100 a ticket. And the parts of it that are open for this game, which is at the lower tier and a tiny bit of the upper tier, is 40 quid. So anyone's like, anyone who wants to go is like, I'm going in there. But there's a massive chance that Fulham's ground is half empty for this game as it stands. And Leeds have got 6,200 tickets and they've sold it out.
Oh, okay.
So Fulham should be taking this really seriously because it's an unbelievable chance to step towards Wembley. And we're having such a good season that it could easily be capped off by something like an FA Cup run into the semis or the final. And I think the team will reflect that. But they've really made a bad decision here because the fans aren't really on board with this. And it does seem like a lot of people, me included, are going to stay away because we can't really be bothered to pay 40 quid for a game that you just sit at home and watch. I know it doesn't sound very loyal in a way, but it's just too much. It should be 20 quid.
Yeah, I completely hear it, mate. That's really interesting. That could give Leeds a little bit of an edge because which most FPL managers here are going to be cheering Leeds on. We want Liverpool to have a fixture in game week 28.
Yeah.
So this clip, mate, is 100% going to be clipped to go on social media, because I think the FPL community are going to love what you just said, that maybe there's a slight increase in giving Leeds those odds. Because at the moment, I think the bookies have got Fulham at 60% to go through and Leeds 40, but maybe that's 59-41 now. But, little things in FPL.
Yeah, it's small things, but like if the fans do stay away for that, I do think it helps. We've seen it before, like that when we had a neutral end and you give that away end anyway to a big club. It's always worked against Fulham, and especially if the game's tight. We've lost a lot of games in the past in the Premier League to the fans basically sucking the ball towards the goal in the dying minutes.
Yeah.
And Leeds have just got a change of manager. They've got a bit of new hope there. This is kind of a free hit for them. There's no pressure game. It's not like every other league match they're going to be playing at the moment. It's a bit annoying as a Fulham fan, but yeah, if you are supporting Leeds for that one, there's probably a bit more hope.
Yeah. Okay, there we go. So look, Liverpool I'll be targeting. I'm probably going to go Salah and Trent ahead of 25. I've got loads of money in the bank to do that. And then maybe I'll go Tarkowski as well, because look, Everton not only double, but the beauty with Everton is in 28 they play Chelsea. That's a locked-in fixture. But then also, when you look to the far right-hand side, game week 32, Everton also have a nailed fixture against Palace that week. So Everton give you security in all the blanks, those two big blanks, but also have a double. So I think I'm willing to take a 4-point hit for an Everton player. So probably 3 transfers for me in 25, which is why I'm rolling this week. We'll show our teams coming up. Then we have to navigate, 26 is fine. Then we have to navigate game week 27, right? So how do we do that? Well, there's some doubles in there. But the teams doubling aren't the sexiest. Brighton are the standout. But the problem with Brighton is they have blanks, i.e. in 25, and almost certainly going to blank in 28. So you can have Brighton players. You could bring in Matoma and then he blanks the following week. I think that's okay. I think you take the risk. And then you have to navigate to the biggest blank of all, which is game week 28, where there'll probably only be 5 fixtures. Now, can you do all that without using chips? My answer is, yeah, you can. And you use free transfers off the back of 25 to prepare yourselves for 28. So the transfer in 26, 27, 28 is in preparation for that blank and maybe covering a double player or 2. Okay. Now, you could use your free hit in that small blank game week in 28 because you might only get 5 or 6 players. I don't think the upside is going to be there for a free hit, which is why, for me, you save that free hit to a big double. Now, as mentioned already in the chat from Gary, the strategy I am on is probably the most common, which is a free hit in 29. So you dead end you're not dead ending, but all your transfers from say 25 to 28 are just looking to cover who's blanking in 28, which we'll know before 26. So because of that, you're not earmarking any transfers in 29 for those that got the double. So you're putting all your attention in teams that you know are playing in 28, and you're probably neglecting those that will have a double game week in 29. So when you get to 29, you might look at it and go, there's some really juicy doubles here, and I've not got enough representation. So let's pick out, I don't know, you might have sold your Spurs players. You might not have any Spurs players. Well, Spurs are going to likely be playing Everton and Southampton. Really, really nice double to go, or free hit to go Harry Kane in. Chelsea play Villa and Liverpool. Do we want João Felix then? Maybe. So there's some really juicy doubles there. And look, it could be a wild card in 29. So you dead end your team to 28, wild card 29. Or it could be a free hit 29, which is what I'm thinking. And the reason I like free hit 29 is because I like the wild card in 33. Because again, game week 32 being such a big blank game week will be another one of those dead end your team approaches where your transfers in 30 and 31 are to get players out in 32. You might have to sell some good players that you want to bring back. Therefore, wildcard in 33 ahead of another big double game week in 34, which is a really nice bench boost week. To bench boost off the back of a wildcard means you can try and guarantee that you don't have injured players, you don't have suspended players, you don't have out of form players. You're picking players that you know are currently hot, and then you're hopefully getting 15 of them out the following week. So wildcard and bench boost work really well together for that reason. So that's kind of what I'm thinking. But I don't think in 29 is an absolute must for free hit. And I think many will look to wildcard then. There will be others that are free hitting in the blanks of 28 and 32. I just don't think the upside is there in the blanks. And there'll be others that look at this game week 25 coming up on the horizon and think 25 is a possible free hit, because I could go triple Liverpool, and no one's going to have triple Liverpool in 25. You could have a punt on a Everton or Wolves attacker. You can make sure you can keep your Man United and your Newcastle players long term because you're not having to sell them for the blank like many are. There are pros to it. I just don't, again, know if the upside's there, knowing Arsenal are playing twice. And again, we've already got 3 Arsenal players. So it's really, if you really want to back Liverpool big, then free hit could be an option. But you could argue and say you could already just use your free transfers on getting 2 Liverpool anyway. What do you think, Dean, about 25 and a possible free hit?
Oh, mate, I'm really in trouble here because this is going to take planning, and you know that I'm not good at planning. I wish I had a free hit. I don't, so that is me in trouble.
You've got your bench boost and your wild card still, right?
I got a bench boost, and and triple captain. But so yeah, little worried.
You've still got triple captain, of course you have.
Still triple captain. I'm waiting for that moment to arrive. Yeah,
Game week 25 for Arsenal, Leicester and Everton. Could be a good one on an Arsenal player.
It could be, but I just told you. I think Liverpool. I think Arsenal are crumbling, so they'll probably lose both of those in my head. Do you know what? I had a sudden thought last night. I'm tempted to get Salah in and put the triple captain on Salah in double.
Nice.
Palace and Wolves.
Yeah, I think that's a really nice differential shout. No one's going to have. Most have spunked their triple captain already. So
this is it, and I'm like, I've sunk like a stone in the last 4 or 5 game weeks. And I'm like, I've got to do something. Like something different has got to happen for me to get like up to a decent position in the next few weeks. Yeah, and just again going back to that Salah, the way he was talking, the way he was playing. We'll see what happens. Like I am very, very tempted that if I do bring Salah in for that double, I give him the triple captain.
Yeah.
That's something, I'm considering. But
there's a few in the chat mentioned possibly referee Rick's triple captain Kane in 29 is an option. But again, that double's not confirmed. And I think I like Salah in those 2 fixtures. And also 29 might be a week where you want a wild card. I think if I was you with wild card and bench boost left, I'd dead end my team to 28, knowing you've got blanks. You'll have to sell some good players, but you'll be like, okay, I can sell whoever this week because I'm buying someone that's playing. And then in 29, off the back of that, you can wildcard. Yeah. And I think then you're setting yourselves, you make sure you've got 15 players, of which a fair few of them are going to play in game week 32. Your bench players can all be 32 week players. So I don't know, Tarkowski or whoever. And then you bench boost in the other big double, which is in 34.
Yeah, that would make sense. Yeah, I like that thinking. I mean, for you, this is a dream knowing all this is coming up because this is where your little niche takes off, isn't it? This is where you get the advantage over people that are just good at the game. I was looking at one of my mini leagues. I've got my main one with my mates. And a couple of them consistently do really well, and they're both in like the top 200k at the moment. I was out with them last night, actually, both of them. We were talking about it, and both of them. They don't do any of the planning that you do. It's a week by week basis, but they are always good at this game.
Yeah.
And they're like, no, I just sit down on a Thursday, look at it, have a look at the next couple of weeks, pick my team, and that's it. Like no more thought to it.
And that's why they're at my rank at the moment, because they're obviously like they're hot and they're good. And then it's like, if only you knew about Ben Crellin's thing or watched a YouTube
They will
show.
not even know who he is.
Yeah.
They won't have any idea about the stuff that you've just been talking about for like game week 29 and stuff. They'll just discover that in a couple of weeks' time.
Yeah. We take our games from just people being naive to it.
But these people that are around you right now, I guess that's when you see those people off, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. And it can at times feel a little bit like cheating. But look, everyone that's watching this at the moment will probably feel similar. But yeah, it's interesting that this is where you get your gains, and it's like just really good FPL casual managers.
It's like staying around. It's like hanging around after training, doing a bit of extra work, isn't it? Like you're just putting in the extra yards. Like it's a top thing that goes with like top performance. Always do that extra bit, and that is why you become an expert or a professional or whatever, however you want to dress it up in this. Like you've got to have that extra thing that stands you apart. I haven't got it. That's why I'm like the naive, like just punter at this. And you've just got that edge, and like it's fascinating, really.
Yeah, no, it's pretty cool. I feel fortunate that FPL gives you the opportunity to make these gains, because otherwise you can't make a name for yourself. But the blanks and doubles are really what do it. And again, the more chaos you get in a standard season from COVID or cancellations from fixtures in the past, we've seen like heavy snow, and then the more games cancelled, the more double game weeks and blank game weeks later down the line. So again, even the Queen dying, like these bits of chaos can contribute to a content creator going, yeah, I've got a little bit of gain. But I'm fascinated by the idea of I can go to football on a Saturday and speak to 15, 16 of my teammates, and not one single, they all play FPL, they've all got a mini league. The first thing they do after the game at 4 p.m. is check their phones for their fantasy scores, but they probably only spend 2 minutes on a Friday making their decision. They don't know about YouTube shows and FPL Twitter and stuff like that. And yet they're so into it. So I think it's probably a matter of time until a lot of casual managers become really engaged managers, which is why the community is growing so quick.
Totally. And I feel like the growth from the last 5 years is going to be doubled over the next couple of years. I feel like the next 2 years for this game is just going to be rapid, because it's really accelerating. And now, you get to the point where you are seeing it mentioned in, whether it's BT Sport or on Sky Sports, when they're talking about the games, it's coming into the conversation. They're taking it much more seriously now.
Yeah.
And it really needs to start coming on the ticker. Like when there's a goal in a game, it really should now be goal and assist and how many points they've just got, or how many points they're on for the game. On a Saturday, there should actually be, on Soccer Saturday, a running ticker of like the leading point scorers in FPL so far for the day. Like that is now as important, because the thing is for casual watchers of the Premier League, it was all really based around people who were betting, right?
Yeah.
So it's people that are put on an accumulator and they're watching all these scores come in and ticking off whether they were right or wrong. But I feel like that's kind of being changed now. Like betting's been tarnished a little bit. People look down on it a little bit. It's obviously led to massive problems as well. Whereas FPL, it's like a nice way of betting. It's like just a nice game. And I think that that's the way things are going. And for people like you, I mean, that's going to be massively beneficial.
Yeah, I think I actually know someone in the community that's like, who speaks quite openly about the idea of being a former sort of addict, and would sort of spend a huge amount on betting. And part of his recovery was FPL. And he's like, I don't feel the need to bet like I used to when I watch football, because FPL ticks that box for me. So I think that's again like pretty cool.
I can imagine it's a similar buzz. I mean, obviously it's not, the loss. I think when you're an addict, unfortunately, I think you get as much of a buzz sometimes from the losses as you do from the wins. I'm not sure I've ever experienced that in FPL, but I haven't been buzzing off some of my recent game weeks. But yeah, it's good. I think it's doing a lot of good things in the football world.
Yeah. CH says, what are our thoughts on the FPL website now adding, I don't know if you saw this, Dean, a couple of days ago, they've added XG and XA, and I think it's all the per 90 numbers, which is cool. And look, again, Sky Sports and BT, like you'll see them referring to, even on Match of the Day, I've seen XG and XA numbers. And yeah, I think we're probably becoming a little bit more interested in data than we ever have. And certainly that's being driven by fantasy football, I think.
Yeah, I think so too. It's not that interesting otherwise, is it? Unless you've got a reason to actually use this data.
Yeah.
Why would you look at it? Like, who cares? Like, even if you were supporting the team, I don't go through Fulham's player stats on a regular basis to see who's creating the best chance. Like, if you're watching the team, you pretty much know that anyway, and you can use the eye test for that kind of stuff. You want it so that you could use it. The only reason clubs use it is they can actually, have a better reading of the performances that they are watching, how they're judging their squad, and then also for signings. So it makes sense that we would use that for something, either betting or FPL. Like, it's the only two ways we could really use this information. So it's definitely something. I mean, think how much people looked down at XG when it was first introduced. I know there are still people that do, but I think most people now that were initially against it can see that it's not what they actually think. It's not like expected goals. Oh, they were expected to actually score this many goals. Like, that's not it. It tells you more about the reading of the game.
Yeah, I love that. I love XG for a few reasons, but I like if you haven't watched a game and you just see the XG results, you can go, okay, who had momentum, who perhaps felt like they come up short or unlucky. When you see the XG next to the scoreline, of course. But then also, I like to judge a player's finishing ability by, are they overperforming or underperforming their XG over a long period? And again, like Darwin is a prime example of someone that stood out this season as being a bad finisher. Now, the eye test tells us that, but the XG completely backs it up. Timo Werner was the same. These guys are massively underperforming. Now, who overperforms their XG? Shock. Kane, Haaland, like the two best finishers in the league. So it confirms some of the things you already know, but it gives you that extra insight. And Sky Sports, I think, mentioned, I saw Veteran say on Sky Sports there is a ticker for FPL players on the right hand side, and you're right, there is FPL Veteran. But what Dean's saying is, during Soccer Saturday, we're talking about actually having a ticker during the
that just
the
runs.
printer.
You see it on ESPN, right? You see it on ESPN on like when all the NFL games are on or whatever. Like there's a ticker constantly with just like all the players and their scores from the day so far. That's what I want. I don't just want like the top 10 or whatever they put up. Like I'd forgotten they did that. So good point. But
and they don't do it on Soccer Saturday. I don't think. I think they only just do it standard Monday morning or whatever.
Yeah. Fair enough. But yeah, interesting.
Yeah. Guys, if you are really into your extra content, I've launched another channel, which I'm just going to put a link in the chat. So Dean and I are continually going to be doing these streams Monday and Friday. That's not going to change. And again, the live element and the hour-long shows, that's not going to change. But if you like sort of short 60-second clips, or I do a one weekly 15-minute video, then check out the Gianni Battici show on YouTube, which has just launched, if you fancy giving it a watch or a subscribe after this show, of course. And likewise, if you want to check out Dean's stuff outside of FPL, then you've got to be listening to Ranks FC pod, right, Dean?
Yeah. We've done a few extra pods this week, actually. So we've done there's Champions League. We've never really done specialist Champions League pods, actually. But if you go Ranks FC, there's all the fallout from the Champions League. We do a Wednesday show too. So feel free. We're actually on YouTube now too. So Ranks FC, if you want any more football content, we're across literally everything in Europe.
Love that. And I think the Ranks FC Patreon followers are ultras, and we did say earlier in the show we want your suggestions to who are going to be the Chasing Green Arrow crew. We don't want to use the term ultras because Dean's got that, but we want those hardcore fans. What do you want us to refer to you lot as in the chat? Let us know. Or if you're watching this on catch up, let us know in the comments section. I look forward to going through some hopefully good ideas, and maybe on Monday's show, we'll announce what our collective term is going to be. And I'm hoping Spartans, who's not in the chat tonight, is going to watch on catch up. And for regular watchers, you'll know about Spartans. He always comes up with some buttes. Mark Nash has said the CGA firm. Sounds a little bit like a sort of Green
sounds like
Street
we're looking for a
factory.
fight. Yeah, sounds like we're looking for a fight. I don't feel like that really reflects the vibe of this show or me and Gianni's personalities. We're not that Chelsea fan outside West Ham Stadium last week. That would portray definitely the wrong side of us.
Referee Rick's really complimentary about my YouTube show. Thanks, mate. CH, I always say Team Green. I quite like that. The Green Chasers.
No.
FPL CGAs. Not sure about that one, Steve. CGA Spartans actually works, says Louis. That's not a bad point.
Yeah. That's actually not bad at all.
The CJ Spartans. Does it sound a little bit like an American sort of
it's definitely
NFL
American,
team?
It's definitely Americanized, yeah. I think that's actually my wife's family is like the local like high school, whatever. I think they're the Spartans. Yeah, pretty sure.
Yeah. Okay, the Green Bulldozers. Lugani, maybe. Green United. Green Chasers sounds like a good drink.
Yeah. Just sounds like a shot you're going to have on like a wild night. So, again, we don't tend to drink while we record.
Locomotive CGA, Arrow Army. Yeah,
That's
there's some good suggestions here.
Yeah. Make your banners, stick them out all over Twitter and Insta. Time to come subscribe.
Niall might have nailed that. Welcome to the Chasing Green Arrows Arrow Army. Maybe. I don't know. Green core green. Yeah, we're gonna have to take this offline, but we'll ultra greens. Yeah. Yeah.
You've all got a job
me
now
being
anyway.
Jason.
It's between you lot, really. It's not really for me and Gianni to decide. Like the players don't tend to decide what the fans are called, do they? They just lap it up. So we kind of just have to throw it out there and let the community decide, and we're gonna have to let it go along with it. We'll create a poll or something for the next episode. And you lot can decide what you're called.
Gianni Jones's Barmy Army. Thanks for all your suggestions. I think it's time we probably check out our teams, isn't it? So let's see our team reveals. Oh, yes. I've just seen a suggestion from our producer. Of course, yeah, we should do a poll at some point. So maybe we'll put our favorite suggestions that we've seen in the chat tonight, as well as any suggestions we see in the comments of this video for those watching on demand. And then we'll put together a sort of our top 4 on a Twitter poll. I like that.
Yeah.
Wharton Rifles are back.
Wharton Rifles are back another week. They're not going to be lined up like this. It's going to be 4-3-3, I think. I'm going to bring... I think I'll probably bring Wan-Bissaka in and put Andreas on the bench, I think.
I thought he played well against Barca, Wan-Bissaka.
Yeah, I did too. He was ill before that, so I was wondering why Dalot was getting a couple of out. And Dalot hasn't actually been that good recently. So, yeah, I was annoyed. When I bought Wan-Bissaka in, it was for that. I think he got 1 point, and then he missed a game or something, didn't he? Surprisingly. Yeah. It's like a double. So I haven't really got any value out of bringing Wan-Bissaka in yet. So I want to give him a run out.
Because you might have to sell him next week because he blanks. So you kind of need to.
Selling him. Exactly. Yeah, this is his last week in the team, probably ever. So Leicester at home, bit risky because Leicester are decent form and probably will score, but I'm going to hope he can come up with an assist at some point. No. But yeah, Andreas away at Brighton. Yeah, I don't know. I think I'm just going to opt for Wan-Bissaka anyway. Beyond that, I'm not going to make any transfers this week. I can field a good enough team. Yeah, reasonably happy with it. De Bruyne might be going next week to make room for Salah.
Yeah,
but just finally,
it's horrible selling him now, isn't it?
It's
horrible just got now points, and he plays Bournemouth, and we're going to have to take him out. But I think our only route to Salah, both of us, because he's so expensive, Salah. De Bruyne is the only sell. Yeah, you can't go and sell your 9 and 10 million midfielders and easily accommodate Salah. He's 12.
And that's the other reason I kind of want to make it even more worthwhile by gambling on Salah triple captain. It's because I'm like, if I'm going to lose De Bruyne and I'm bringing in Salah, I feel like I want there to be even more riding on it, and think like, if Salah does score, then I want it to count for more. So I might do that. Then obviously I'm risking the fact that Haaland is potentially playing Bournemouth, but with Champions League and stuff, and he's had a few injuries. Who knows,
that could be one Pep gives him a rest.
Might be. I hope so. But yeah, generally, team staying as it is. It's okay. Yeah.
No, I think you're making a good. I think you're well set this week. You'll play Andreas, do you think, or who will be or would Andreas come out for Wan-Bissaka?
Yeah, so Andreas will come out. Yeah, Andreas will come out for this.
It's a hard fixture, isn't it, going to Brighton?
I think so. Yeah, it's just too unpredictable. Like, yeah, I don't think I can count on him. And to be honest, it's a coin toss, really. I think for both of them, as I say, Leicester probably score. Andreas, is he going to score or assist? Possibly. I couldn't tell you, to be honest. Brighton's such a difficult game to predict.
Yeah. Okay. I look forward to asking your thoughts on my team next, because I've got a bit of a benching dilemma. And guys, I want your help in the chat as well. So let's have a look here about my setup. I'm going to be playing a 3-4-3, but which defender starts? I think I've got to put Trippier in. I think this is wrong. I think I'm going to go... Do I go Trippier in for Shaw or Trippier in for White? Like, I'm going to start Ake, even there's a good chance he doesn't start, but you've just got to be in the mixer there. The fixture's good. Do I want Ben White, who I think comes back into the 11 because Tomiyasu was bad? But I think Villa could score. I think Leicester will score, and I think Liverpool will score. So I think Trippier, Shaw, and White are all going to concede. So who offers the most upside? Well, Trippier and Shaw. Therefore, perhaps I should be benching White.
Yeah, I think you probably should. Yeah, I think you probably should still bench White. Yeah, I'd say, while I got a feeling Liverpool might beat Newcastle, I would still expect Newcastle to probably score in that game. I'm not sure it's going to be like the 4-3s of old, given the way that Newcastle play these days. But yeah, you're right. They are all likely to concede. So you've got to look for like what could you get out of that, and Trippier rarely lets you down. He rarely lets you down.
Yeah. Now, if I'm taking a 4-point hit next week for Tarkowski, you could say there's an argument to go just bring Tarkowski in a week early. But I don't know if I would play Tarkowski over any of those either. Like, I think Leeds are a team that can score against anyone.
Yeah.
Although it is at Goodison. So I think I'm just going to sit tight. And I think the chat are all pretty much saying, the few have said Ake sell, but most are saying sell White, and I think not sell bench
him. Yeah,
I think it does have to be Ben White. I bench.
Yeah, I'd say so. Seems the most sensible. The rest, seems pretty. What about our Bamford? That's what we were talking about the other day. Your gamble on Bamford. Are you?
Oh, I didn't hear that.
Yeah, I was just said. It's a bit rogue.
Punty. It's
very punty. Yeah,
0.6% owned.
Yeah, I mean, he hasn't really even got any form.
His form was FA Cup, which against
Accrington
Stanley and Cardiff, which perhaps isn't the best measure. But I saw those two games and went, I've seen enough. And then Jesse Marsh getting sacked doesn't help either, because again, I wanted Marsh ball for attacking goals.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Bamford, I've got a bit of a soft spot for Bamford. I think.
So you're keeping him? You're going to keep him?
Yeah, I think so. Again, a lot will come down to that game week in 28. If Liverpool play, then Bamford won't play. It's either Leeds or Liverpool that will have a blank based on the fixture, the FA Cup fixture between Leeds and Fulham. So,
are you not tempted? You won't.
João Felix. Yeah, I thought you were going to say that. I am. There I am in my Portugal shirt. I don't know.
João Felix, home to Southampton.
I just, it's something about Chelsea's attack, which
obviously they don't score goals, but if they're going to, it's going to be him.
It is, and he gets the chances. For some reason, this guy is just every big chance falls his way. His XG in the first two games was something like 1.6 across like a game and a half. And again against West Ham, that first half, the best Chelsea have played under Potter, and we only drew the game 1-1. But Felix looked electric. Yeah. I don't know. I don't think I want to sell Bamford ahead of Southampton at Ellen Road.
Yeah, I guess if he's playing, that's true. Yeah,
it's such a good fixture for him. But Chelsea playing the blanks. I've got the money to go Bamford to João Felix, but I just want the 2 frees for double Liverpool next week as well.
Yeah.
So I guess it would. I know it wouldn't be a 4-point hit this week, Bamford to João Felix, but I'm treating it as a 4-point hit, knowing I'll be taking extra hits next week if I don't make this move this week. So effectively, do I think Bamford from -4 out to Felix is worth it this week is the question I kind of have to ask myself, even though it's not a 4-point hit at this moment in time. It would be over time. Every move you could argue is a 4-point hit if you're someone that takes them, because collectively it builds. Yeah. So I think I'm going to stick with Bamford just. Yeah, but you're right. It's a good option. Yeah. João Felix is a good punt. And I think if you're looking for a 1-week punt, guys, I think João Felix is a really good option. And if you're looking for a differential captain this week, see, Dean and I have both got the armband on Haaland, but I'm a little bit worried about his minutes. And I think if I own João Felix, genuinely, I'd be considering the captain. Now, what do we think to Man City and Haaland minutes this week? Because they play Nottingham Forest tomorrow.
And then Leipzig, isn't it?
It's Leipzig on Wednesday.
The only thing is,
big game that.
City have just clawed back this gap. The Premier League is so important.
Yeah.
If Arsenal do drop points earlier in that day and City can capitalise on it, like, I know Pep won't leave his team selection that late to see how Arsenal have got on, but I just find it hard to believe that they would leave Haaland out at a moment when they've just started to wrestle back control of the situation.
Yeah.
Arsenal obviously have a double game week next week too, so that game in hand that's been lingering is Everton, I think. They get it out. It's like they get that game back, and City won't want to drop any points. They can't risk dropping any points. So I wonder if they just try and get that game won and take Haaland off rather than risk letting it play out and then bring him on.
I'm with you there. And the first two choice centre backs at Nottingham Forest are injured.
They both got
Bolly's
injured
out.
against Fulham, yeah.
So I mean that's tasty. And the Leipzig game's on Wednesday, but the fixtures go Saturday, Wednesday, and then it's Saturday against Bournemouth next week. That could be another one you worry about his minutes. But the good news is for Man City and Haaland owners, the FA Cup 5th round game is following that Bournemouth game. So it goes Forest, Leipzig, Bournemouth, and then it's Bristol City in the FA Cup. It feels like if you're going to rest Haaland for a game, that's when he gets his rest. So maybe therefore the Prem games you're fine.
Yeah. It depends if he has got any lingering knots. The problem with Haaland, like for his age, he shouldn't really even need any rest. But like his body, he's overstretched at times, it seems, like literally.
Quite literally.
Yeah, like literally. He pushes his leg just a bit too far as he go gadget legs.
I've never known anyone turn up to a medical and be taller than the record show because he's constantly growing.
Like, I've grown. There we go. That's cool.
Yeah. All right, so we're both going Haaland. You're pretty set on your captain this week, Dean. I am. I'm going Haaland. I think Rashford, with the form Rashford's in, I get it. But Leicester are a team you just never know. We just saw it against Spurs. They could go to Old Trafford.
This is Nottingham Forest, who have signed 30. They barely know each other. They were only promoted this season via the playoffs against Man City, the reigning, the champions, one of the best teams in the world, with the best striker in the world, and Kevin De Bruyne in form. Like, I can't overlook that.
Yeah.
Feels stupid. Yeah. To be honest, I should probably put the triple captain on him, but I'm not going
to. I like that. Great, guys. We're going to move on. There are our teams. Neither of us are making a transfer. We're both captain Haaland. Usually, we've got quite a lot of excitement, and we're not too sure what we're doing, or we've got loads of routes to go down on a Friday night. This week is pretty simple. Next up, guys, and before we get to this, or in fact, when we're doing our little clip, our little sting, perhaps you'll think about hitting that alarm bell or subscribing or liking. But great if you can show your support for the channel. But next up, we've got Against the Obvious. One person, one of you hit the like button during that clip. Well, I guess it was worth it.
One more than we had.
Against the Obvious, if you've not seen this before, every Friday we put together 60 seconds worth of reasons why not to pick a popular asset. I've gone this week for Mitrovic, starting from now. Here are 60 seconds worth of reasons why not to pick Mitro this week. Now, if you own him, I think you actually maybe sell him. Often we look at players in this bracket and go, if you own him, keep him, but definitely don't buy. He's my Against the Obvious pick. I'm going to tell you actually, sell Mitro if you don't already have Nketiah and you've got that third Arsenal spot available. He's clearly injured. And yes, when he plays, he always looks a threat even when he is injured. And he's good in the bonus points. But I think Dean's right. I think he'll probably be off penalties now. And whilst Fulham are playing very, very well, they're not blowing teams away. And this isn't a Fulham team that I don't think are going to go and score 2, 3, 4 goals a game. The fixture against, I think they'll win games 1-0. I think they just beat Forest 1-0 off the top of my head. But the Brighton fixture alone is going to be really tricky for Mitrovic. He doesn't have double game weeks coming up. And in that price band at the moment, I feel like there's just a little bit more in terms of explosive forwards out there. So for me, he's not even guaranteed to start because this knock is ongoing. He could come off early, gets a lot of yellows. He's not scoring lots of goals at the moment. It's time to sell.
We beat Forest 2-0.
Oh, was it 2?
Yeah. Manor Solomon scored. By the way, you want to look out for Manor Solomon. He's going to be a player for Fulham by the end of this season.
He's been unlucky, hasn't he, with injuries?
He has been unlucky with injuries, and he's really coming into his own now. But yeah, so
is he a wide forward, Dean?
Yeah. We've got a lot of them.
You've got a lot of them, haven't you?
We've got a lot of them. But he might be the best. Well, second best.
Although you've got wide forwards like Bobby Deck or Dober Reed, who are kind of like a wing back.
Bobby plays everywhere. Exactly. But yeah, Mitro, you can actually get rid of him now if you want everyone. Okay, my Against the Obvious is Eddie Nketiah. So let's go. Look, this is a bit strange, obviously, because I've got Nketiah in my team. The thing is, right, if you've got Nketiah, I think, fine, stick with him. Keeping him makes sense. Obviously, they've got a double coming up. But would I buy him this week? I don't know that I would. I don't think Arsenal have been good enough. I don't think he's prolific enough to actually say he's gonna score points. He's got 8 points from his last 3 matches. He's missed some unbelievable opportunities as
Yeah.
well along the way. He's not ruthless enough. If you want to be really harsh on this guy, I honestly would be looking at João Felix. If you can get to him from Nketiah instead, I would go as far as getting João Felix. I feel like this is going to be Chelsea's best signing of the season, and they'll probably end up spending a lot of money on him. Also, Gabby Jesus isn't too far away, so it's not like Nketiah's in for the rest of the season. Arsenal season's on a knife edge. Not convinced of them anyway. If you haven't got Nketiah, I don't think you need to buy him right now.
Oh, interesting, ahead of a double. But yeah, I mean, look, João Felix, Southampton this week. Spurs, Leeds, Leicester, Everton. They play in all the blanks. João Felix, with the money Chelsea have paid, that 10 million loan signing, it works out at like, I don't know, 700-800 grand a game. You think he's going to start? He's Chelsea's best player at the moment, isn't he?
He's Chelsea's best player, and I think I look at Chelsea's fixture list generally, and I think like it's pretty good what's coming up. Like there's a lot of scope there for them to start turning around their season. And if you think like a lot of these players as well are like they're only just starting to come together as a team, really. Like the first half of the season's basically been pre-season, and now they're starting to mold all the pieces together. Reece James coming back in, Enzo's looking good in the middle.
Yeah.
João Felix obviously fitted him from the first kick, but they're getting these other guys in. They'll have Koulibaly coming back now. They'll have who's back soon, Zachariah and somebody else. But anyway, they're going to be basically at full strength very quickly. And I feel like Chelsea have the potential to finish strongly. And having João Felix for the rest of the season, I don't think would be a bad thing at all.
Yeah. Question in the chat about João Felix being on penalties. Do we think he'll be on penalties? I would say not. Havertz has got a record of 14-14. When Havertz is starting, he's been seen on the training ground practicing penalties as well. I think Havertz should be on pens, with Jorginho, of course, gone. Yeah. Reece James is another one that's got a good record and always confident in shootouts. Mason Mount has missed a couple. I'd say it's between Havertz and Reece. But penalties from João Felix, I'm just looking at his record. I think he's only taken 8, and I think he scored 7 of them. He's not a penalty taker at Atletico or beyond before.
Yeah, it doesn't. Yeah, I've never really. I can't really think of any off the top of my head to really rate whether I'd have him on them. I mean, probably. I mean, he's amazing. I don't see why I wouldn't be able to score from 12 yards, but yeah.
Yeah, just looking on the FPL site, now they've added expected goals, expected assists, and XGI, expected goal involvement, goals and assists. And against West Ham, that game, which I was watching on my phone at an airport, pretty tragic. For the first time ever, Dean, I wanted my flight to be delayed. I was literally on the runway watching it because I'd been in the airport for the first half, boarded. And then I'm sat there and it's like, seatbelt signs are on and we're on the runway and it's 80 minutes. And I'm like, Chelsea going to get a winner here. Surely don't go up in the air. Don't go up in the air. And the flight was delayed. So I ended up getting to watch the whole 90.
Oh, wow. Perfect.
Which actually worked out well, but Chelsea didn't get the win. But João Felix in that game, his XGI, just looking on the site, 0.96. Like, you never get a player hitting 1 XGI in a single game. It's so rare, especially for Chelsea. He was everywhere. He was everywhere.
Yeah, totally agree.
Guys, thank you so much for watching. If you're going João Felix on a 1-week punt, I don't hate it at all, and I think the armband could be a good option for him. Let us know if you do go João Felix in the comments.
Yeah. Just before we go on. Lee Mason has basically been sacked on the back of the VAR stuff. It just says PGMOL confirms that video assistant referee Lee Mason has departed the organisation by mutual consent.
Wow.
Big story. That is a big story. Wow.
I mean, scapegoating him, like he's not the first to make a howler, but at the same time, it's showing this is what happens. Like any job, if you're not good enough, you're out.
It does, yeah. I mean, they kind of had to stamp down here, didn't they? It's been so high profile, but that's big. I mean, he obviously it might be mutual. He's obviously not going to want to leave, is he? So interesting little twist there. But thanks everyone for joining us tonight. That was a really good show. I enjoyed it.
Yeah, good chat, mate. Thank you as well. And yeah, all of you in the chat. Metro to Felix Dunn, says Michael. During the show, we've had a transfer from Michael. I hope that doesn't cost you, mate. Against the obvious is just a little bit of fun before.
Yeah, I honestly think that's a good pick. I'm confident you'll be good there, Michael.
I like that too. I genuinely do. Guys, we'll both be back on Monday. But for now, good luck this game week. He's been Dean, I've been Janny, and we've been chasing green arrows.